What's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Happy Thursday. It's December 11th, 2025, and today I'm just going to tell you straight out, this is going to be a Sagittarius focused message. Now, that doesn't mean that there won't be something in it for you, especially if you have Sagittarius in your sun, moon, rising, Venus. If you maybe North Node, if you love a Sagittarius, are close to a Sagittarius, are interested in the sign, whatever the case may be, I wouldn't say this message, there'll be nothing for you. As I've often said, Jupiter is the biggest gift giver, so it usually doesn't like to leave anybody out if it can help it. But as promised, it is still Sagittarius season. I am a Sagittarius, birthday 2 days ago now, and I just felt guided to do some Sagittarius focused messages while the season is still going strong. I did one last week, I think, sometime, maybe the week before. So check that out if you feel guided to. I think it's like Girl on Fire in the thumbnail. And I really enjoyed it. It was my first zodiac specific reading ever, honestly. Like, I really don't do that. And so I just felt guided in a unique way to do it, of course, for my sign. And I liked it. I liked it a lot. So I'm going to keep the spirit of the season going. And this one in particular, I have the mind, okay, the intention for it to be a bit of a love message, although I'm not going to hold it to that. So whatever comes out is what comes out, of course, but my intention, the last one was pretty general. My intention for this one is for it to be love focused, or passion focused. Maybe it'll come out that way. And I'm going to use the Kipper-ish deck, of course, by none other than Intuitive Kev. I will link the cards down below in the description or in the comments. But you know Intuitive Kev, and if not, just search Intuitive Kev and you will come across his channel. He's amazing. But yeah, and he's a fire sign. I believe he's a Leo. So at first I was feeling called to use my Game of Thrones cards for some reason. Maybe because the energy is very fiery with the dragons and all that. But I'm going to hold off on those. I may come back and do more of a career or finance message either later this week or later this week is done. Maybe next week. And I'll use those cards. That should be really interesting because, you know, those cards are multi-dimensional, to say the least. So stay tuned for that. But anyway, I felt like the next best thing, maybe the first best thing for a love message, if it turns out to be that, is to use a fellow fire signs energy, big Leo energy, as he likes to say. And these are also more like personality or characteristic specific, so that might give us an even more rounded message today. All right, so let's do it. These are already cut, but I'm gonna just cut them one more time just so you know it's real. I hope you're doing well. I hope that your holiday season is off to a great start. It's peaceful, it's joyful, it's blissful, it's all the things that it should be, you know, not the other stuff. Yeah, happy December and happy Sag season. All right, let's go. Oh, goodness. Divinity, these are hard because there's so many of them. All right, divinity and protection. Yes, divine protection, come through. 92 and 93. And I shuffled these cards really, really good today. So they shouldn't be coming up in sequential order like that, but here they are. You're just going to have to forgive uneven lines because these cards can get slippery, and I'm going to kind of free ball it in a way that Sagittarius loves to do. So I don't know what the formation is going to be, so just bear with me. So divine protection, divinity protection, and I'm getting that, you know, the protection is in the divinity. Yeah. Someone's uh, devotion to righteousness, more or less. And this is highly masculine. Um, so this could be a divine masculine who is not only honed in on his protection internally, his personal security within his spirituality or by way of his growth in spirituality, but it's also the type of masculine that you want to see that is equipped to truly be a protector. You know, that masculine energy of protection is not just brute force, you know, or aggression or violence or machismo or anything like that. Like the ideal divine masculine or divine counterpart would absolutely be someone that is grounded spiritually and energetically. This guy is literally, um, this guy's literally like, what do you call it? Shoot, what's the word? Meditating. So this is someone that has their eyes on ascension, you know, or definitely evolving internally into, you know, the most supreme self they can possibly be. You know, especially as much as they can perceive it. So by God, if this is, I mean, it's definitely representative of the masculine Sag energy for sure, especially the upright, you know, the real evolved ones that are always looking to be better, to do better, to grow better, to have better, you know, to experience life better than they did before. Like there's this relentless um, pursuit of prosperity in a Sagittarius masculine frequency, because that's the pursuit, the proactive aspect. If we're not talking about a man specifically, it just could be the masculine aspect of you that is submissive in a strange way. I know that seems kind of adverse to masculine energy, but submissive to their divine nature, and also very defensive about it, meaning you're not going to let too many things interrupt your peace. Very Sagittarius, before you either see your way out or excuse that energy from your presence. Yeah, what was I saying? Relentless about the, wow, what did I just say? Oh, protective of it for yourself, and also as like a part of your arsenal, you know, in a way for you to ultimately project protection over those that you love and appreciate in your life, or the things and places that you love. We can be extremely protective and extremely loyal to things that we find precious value in, you know. So there's all, don't ever let anybody tell you a Sag can't be loyal. They can be loyal to high heaven, you know, and back again, given, you know, the inspiration to be so, especially when you're considering you're projecting your best wishes and your appreciation and loyalty on someone or something that you see high potential in, you know, like perhaps a friendship or partnership that you can see the potential or the evidence of there being growth there, or something evolving, or again, precious, you know, something valuable in it. Sometimes Sag can see the diamond in the rough, because most of the times they are the diamond in the rough. So they can see that reflection of untapped potential, sometimes again to a fault, especially ladies, because we'll date the potential, any sign, but certainly Sag could definitely sometimes give way and grace for the potential. Um, sometimes believing that the proximity or the association of their investment in you and at you at your best, or it, whatever place thing at its best, is all that's really needed for it to fully bloom or blossom, or see itself. Like, we love being reflectors of, almost mirrors of how great you can be, whether it's by telling you or just kind of sometimes unintentionally living our own lives in a way that becomes an inspiration, or a fascination at best. So now, Sag comes with a definite, as I've heard it said. I never really realized this until I heard my sister sign say it, which is the peace dealer. He's a Gemini, but he has a love-hate for Sag. Much respect more than anything, but a fascination also. But when he says, like, there's always a caution with Sag, because they'll exemplify a way of being that you might think you could do, or a way you might think you could be. But if you don't have that fiery makeup, that signature to that Sag frequency, not just any old fire, not just Leo, not just Aries, because I broke down how that's different in the last video, or how it can be at times. But there's something, Sag can be a bit of an anomaly, at times, especially considering what other aspects are in their chart, where there's just this like security and confidence that we go through in life by way of that Jupiter frequency, where we always expect to land on our feet somehow, some way. So the type of risks and gambles that we may take have high stakes. And if you don't have but we got the confidence and the boldness to support that, to jump off a cliff and somehow feel like, oh, I'm gonna land on my feet, or something's gonna catch me before I hit the ground. Something, that's just how we're designed. So if you try to embody that frequency without truly having the foundation, or having that grounded, your own procured brand of confidence, whatever that may be, no matter the sign, you could definitely crash out. You could crash out. You could. It's possible. So that's the caution sign. And then again, the other aspect is that our perspective of crashing out is much different than many other signs. Like, we take a crash out as a good lesson, a good time, a great story for later, a cautionary tale to keep in the back pocket, something to teach us or teach you or help you, or, something to evolve our path along the way, without a good experience. Whereas the wisdom, that's where we are with it a lot of times. So if you ain't on that vibe and you ain't in that tribe, you could very well be headed for, headed on a crash course collision. But like I said, the devotion to divinity, even in the exploration of it, the discovery of it, especially inside out, is inspirational enough that before you start taking those big risks, making those big leaps, you might want to try to kind of get into the, integrate that energy with yours in a way that makes sense before you roll those dice in life. That's just a little warning from me to you, because I know now I know, again, hindsight is 2020, and the wisdom is there that some of the things that I have taken a leap on or just done by instinct is definitely a signature word of Sag. most people, first of all, look at like, you did that? Like, I would never, or how could you? Or you weren't scared of this? And then you look back on it, it's like, well, I guess that was a scary thing. But at the time, it's like, if this is what needs to be done, so be it. If this is what life is calling me into action for, then here I am. Once again, having that faith and that, blind faith and optimism that you're going to be okay one way or another. Worst case scenario, did you die? Did you die, though? Is always, oh, there's way too many. Community, Earth Angel. Oh no, I gotta take these because that's Sag energy. Earth Angel with the well, I don't know if this is Temperance, but that's what it feels like to me. And usually when we have the Temperance card, it's Earth Angel energy. So we're gonna take that, and then we got Pathway. This is amazing. This is so saggy, so saggy. I'm gonna layer this here. We got Community. Not sure about the community aspect yet, but I'm gonna get into that. We got Community, we got Earth Angel, and then we got Pathway. This definitely could be a nod to all that I just said about how Sag can inspire others to take certain steps or to throw caution to the wind in a lot of ways. And it wouldn't be a bad inspiration or a misguided one, but you just have to make sure you have all the proper safety measures in place depending on who you are. Because what a Sag might be able to jump out of a window and survive, you may not. You might be emotionally, as my phone goes off at 11:03, you might be too emotionally invested. You might be too emotionally attached to an outcome, or careful about your how you'll look if it doesn't go right. Your reputation. You might be too fearful about the what ifs and not focused enough on the the if so, if that makes any sense. So there's that part of it in terms of, oh, but I'm getting something else now that I'm, okay. This is a dynamic connection, though, which we are in a love reading, right? So I'm just like, it's like Sag, again, out of Community comes this Earth Angel energy. So it's almost like also giving way to this anomaly energy, or this, what's the other word? It's anomaly, not phenomenon, but it's another word that we use from anomaly, that's just something that just, out of the ordinary or doesn't make sense sometimes. Let me see if I can, or it's kind of like beyond the status quo. Let's say outside the box. Yeah, deviation from normal, usual, eccentric, definitely. But there's another word, anomaly. There's another word that I'm trying to think of that we also use. But I suppose that's fine for now. But this is someone that really stands out from the rest, to put it simple and practical. So this is a beautiful, we got masculine energy that's devoted to divinity. Oh my God, this is beautiful. Then we got 1111 here with 92 and 74. We got 93 and 39, two mirror numbers, and then 8 with the Pathway. So there's some type of new beginning on the horizon here, where maybe two souls or unions of souls finally that are on the same page and on the same frequency are aligning at this divine time to more or less to walk parallel paths. Like, of course we can consider paths can cross, but there's still very much a independence in these natures, especially when we're talking about Saggy. That's one thing we all know. That's one of them, love it or hate it about a Sag, but that freedom aspect is non-negotiable, even when you're in a partnership. So this is not only a masculine energy that knows how to protect himself and his peace and his force field, also by discerning what gets to be connected to that force field or united with it, whatever the case may be. Also, who's very intentional about what force fields they impact one way or another, like somebody that lives intentionally through their energy because they know it's strong and they know that it's a force. And then, but also that is self-contained enough to know how to be as dynamic as they are, while also giving someone else the space to breathe and be as dynamic as they are together. And then wherever the paths aligned for the two or converge in a way, again, that's almost parallel, it's like there's a respect of those two, of those journeys, even as we're on a road trip together, but there's a common courtesy of where you want to go or where you need to go, and then where I need to go and how we get there and how fast or how do we take our time, the scenic route. Like there's a community, like there's a collaboration. That's what community is actually given to me, like some type of collaborative, compromising, co-creative energy that's coming online, and it's magical. Look, they both have halos. Like, that's crazy. I have chills. Both moving towards their destiny. And they say that's when you find your perfect partner, so to speak, is when you're on your destined path, on your path of purpose, and someone ultimately comes along and kind of meets you where you are, and vice versa. Is usually not looking out for it, waiting and anticipating for it to come necessarily find you. It's usually some motion that's set, or activation that's set, that kind of just magnetizes all things. Again, Sagittarius energy, highly attractive, not just physically and aesthetically, which both of these are. Let's get into it. Not for nothing, even some of the cards, some of the faces I'm looking at back here are a little goofy. Definitely don't have as much color and intrigue, I would say, as these two that are standing out, the protection card and the which is an 11-12, another progressive energy, and the earth angel. Like, her eyes are green, they're drawing me in, they're like doughy. This masculine don't have no shirt on for whatever reason. A lot of the men's don't be having shirts on in Kev's deck. But it's fine for me. Like, I'm good with that right now. It's definitely not a turn on. Like, there's something attractive about this energy, and now it's attracting it to itself. Like somebody that's in their divinity, someone else that's in their divinity. Male, female is the masculine, feminine energy that are attracting one another at a really, really special time. And it feels like divinely aligned with this pathway card here for a new beginning. This is beautiful. And they both do stand out from the crowd because we're talking about perhaps twin flames, since we're talking about Sag energy. We're talking about divine unions. We're talking about soulmates. We're talking about sacred partnership. So it's not going to just be any old run-of-the-mill person that you come across, whether it be they pique your interest sensually, let's say, or they look good on paper. Maybe perhaps it could be just somebody to pass the time with, maybe an ex, maybe somebody you was always curious about, but it's just no spark there. No, this is sparky energy. Look at this beautiful star in the pathway card. This is undeniable chemistry here, undeniable spark, passion ablaze. You know what I'm saying? Like, no question about it. This is not just settling for something to do or someone to do. This ain't that. Which generally Sagittarius don't do anyway. Like, we definitely can be good time for here for a good time type of guys and gals, but there's usually still some in a high vibration. It's not usually just, well, I'ma just get with you, use you up, or fill you up, or it's good for however it lasts and then I'm out. There's usually always like some type of high ambition or expectation for the connection, for it to even spark in the first place, you know, like being the highly attractive people that we are. Sometimes we have probably inflated expectations for that passion to be matched, especially in a way that would keep our interest and our, you know, our attention. And it's not frivolous energy, but it's just, again, that part of the Sag that, you know, is always looking to be inspired, that's always looking to be intrigued, fascinated. And if things, I'll say, just keep it up, right? Once you find that person where it feels like the layers are endless and they're either teaching you something new by way of how they live their lives, or how they express themselves, or they're teaching you something new about yourself, or teaching you something new about life. Love, again, emphasis on teach. We love to teach, we love to learn, we love to explore, we love to discover. So it's just something about like this, a special, like there's a special person for high Sag frequencies that are on their pathway, you know, looking toward their north node, more or less. There's a special partnership that has to be aligned for the sake of that person on that path, and also for whatever mission that they've embarked upon. Because 9 times out of 10, it's something important, because the Sag is too spiritually important to themselves not to have even sometimes initiated themselves on a mission that is bigger and bolder than they can embody, if that makes sense. So you're going to need a partner that understands that, again, that understands you got to get where you going, but I got to get where we going. And then if we can get there together and having a good time while we at it, oh yeah, you got a partner for life. And where the adventure never stops, because there's always something more to explore, something more in store. You know, the mission itself just keeps growing and evolving and expanding into something even better, with every step we take. Oh, we stuck for life. It's a forever type of thing. But that's the energy I'm feeling, though, with the 1111 on the 2 cards, the 2 spiritual cards, and this pathway. There's like so much destiny on the horizon that I don't even think, that's the thing that I think is really going to hold these dynamic unions together. And they don't have to be Sagittarius specific, but just the frequency that I'm speaking of, where there is a destined alignment here. You know, there's a destined synergy between two polar souls, ultimately, where it feels like we were born to come together in this moment in time, if nothing else, but then to, you know, go along that pathway and again thrust yourself into that experience through the excitement of the passion and find that it's endless. Like you start peeling back layers, like, oh my gosh, we can do this together, and then we could do this, and it's just like, when will it end? It probably won't. And the other part of community is that these unions are going to make such an impact on the communities that they serve one way or another, whether just by example or by proximity, investment perhaps, and wherever these energies land could be their actual neighborhood or their makeshift families, that people create around themselves, their workplaces, their customer bases, whatever, together or apart. Like, there's something significant about the impact that this union is going to make on the masses, great or small. I should say large or small, because the impact is great no less, no matter how big the community is or how small the community, large or small the community is. But it may not even seem like, it may be between people that don't particularly even have high ambitions to be particularly impactful, but their union just is. It just is. The way that they hold each other, emotionally, spiritually, maybe even physically, could even be public display of affection or just an outward expression of affection and intimacy that is inspiring when they don't even realize anybody's looking, and nor do they care, but it could be the very intentional way that two paths may align to create, magic for communities that, didn't even know they needed this level of impact. But it turns out that it was exactly what they were waiting on, so maybe to bring the color into their faces, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Let's see, let's get a couple more. All right. Oh, stop it. We got Divine Feminine. Oh my goodness. When I said I wanted a love reading, get another one. Occupation. So somebody is just divine for a living, and that's a doctor. So it's something healing about, first of all, it's the masculine finally first choosing himself, because feminine's been leading the charge, and that feminine force, whether you're male or female, has been leading the charge in nurturing self-care, self-love, abstaining from things that are not in alignment, whatever that may be, reestablishing boundaries, refocusing on your purpose. Like, all those things have been kind of opening, have been paving the way, so to speak. But what's been waiting in the balance is for these strong masculine forces to wake up, to fully awaken into their divine power, and to stop being so resistant to that feminine energy inside of them that's been trying to heal them from the inside out. And here it is right here, divine feminine occupation. That's what's been missing. That's what we've been waiting on, is for the masculine to heal thyself and to finally be in a position to choose happiness, to choose wisely, to choose what's best for them in the long run, and not just, as I said, the right now immediate gratification, or just this space saver or time waster type energy, or good time but not long time. Like, this is not that. This is somebody that has done some soul searching, maybe, that's done some self-help, self-care, that started loving themselves, loving the supreme aspects of themselves, and reconnecting with that on a higher plane, and on a deeper plane as well, as above so below. And they ready. They are ready. Oh man. And divine feminine's been on the job. Just waiting. Just, not particularly eager in the waiting. Not even really, I would say, anticipating, but as I said before, as they're walking their pathway, you know, just being and walking in belief, maybe even a knowing that the path will converge with whomever, however, whenever it's supposed to. No doubt about it, in faith, as a matter of fact, but not slowing down their progress. That's a real divine feminine energy, where it's like, I ain't sitting around waiting on you now, but I'm also not taking no wooden nickels or no brass rings. I'm not just going to be so desperate to have a partner or to have a man or a woman for that matter, that I'm just going to take any old thing in the community. No shade to the community, but like this, it's kind of like the oddball energy right here in a sense. Like I'm just not. I'm too unique. I'm too special. I'm too precious to settle. That's the knowing of the divine feminine, and that if hell, she got to cultivate love in her own being, then she's right at home in that regard as well, by that ambition, because that was ultimately the plight of the divine feminine, was also to love herself without the dependency of love outside of, or the validation, because we, in many ways, we wasn't getting it, and we was never going to get it, not the way that we needed it to thrive. So once we awakened to that truth and started being our own resource, now sometimes that the pendulum swung to almost, a more callous divine feminine that don't need no man. But ultimately, hopefully it swings back to the center, where it's like, partnership would be beautiful. It would be amazing, actually, and my heart is open to it. But it's not going, one monkey ain't going to stop no show. Like, I still got purpose to pursue. I still got things to do, places to be, people to meet, places to be seen. So it's like, she's still on the job no matter what. But if you can catch her where you can, you blessed indeed. And I feel like that's the other shift in the energy with divine masculine, is realizing that it is a blessing to be covered, let's say embraced by a truly divine feminine energy. It is an anomaly, because it's not like they're a dime a dozen. I'm not saying that there aren't wonderful women out here, in all types of capacities, spiritual or otherwise, but those that are intentional to be ascended in in a holistic aspect, of their humanity, are not I don't even know what to say. Like, they not just hanging around, They're definitely not always the easiest to find and or catch up with, because like I said, they're driven and they're focused on their own purpose. So most of them ain't hanging out at the club or at the bar or at parties or on dating sites or on social media, or it's just not. You would have to be on your destined path to align with the divine feminine energy. And also, to attract a divine masculine one. So this is again that perfect matrimony in time. Let me get one more, I think, or maybe not. I guess that's fine. Let's just move on to the last because I don't want to make it too long, but this is interesting. Oh no, 82, abandonment. 82 was the year I was born. Abandonment. What's this abandonment card? That's random. Let's see. Just when they get easy to shuffle, I'm almost at the end. Oh, abandoned work, labor, efforts. Oh, and here's awakening again. And it's an 11 card. I saw this too when I was shuffling. I was laughing at the hair standing up on it. So, okay, this is interesting. It's like, okay, so how I'm taking this, I mean, it could be very literal, where some people are gearing up to abandon their status quo life, you know, where, and this is very Sagittarius in a lot of ways in terms of attraction. The which is why it also makes that energy a bit of an anomaly, because the way we work is different on the outside, from the outside looking in, than the way that we've collectively been conditioned to gain, to achieve, to strive even. But although it yields a harvest, indeed, you know, the elbow grease, the hard labor, the pedal to the metal, you know, roll up your sleeves, whatever, you know, work, labor, and efforts is never going to be lost in terms of what it can yield, truly. But here is the invitation, especially in a season like this, to work smarter, not harder, in true Sagittarian form, to really turn on that quality of attraction where you, again, caution label, but where you know, when you have your sights, your intention set on a certain thing, it's not as intensive as the physical work you do behind that, as it is the passion that is fueled for it. And it must be pure, which is the thing. So it's like you can definitely roll up your sleeves and get to work, and there be a yield and a return on that investment. However, would you actually be passionate about the work that you're having to do or needing to do in order to see that return? That's the deficit, you know, where Sagittarius is so passion driven that a lot of times, you know, like I said, it's hard to keep our attention, our engagement. But the things that do, we're full throttle, fully invested in. The trick for Sagittarius is actually finding that thing, that partner, that purpose, that job, that community, you know, that passion, you know, that pathway. And a lot of times, like the formality type things that we're faced with before we make that connection are not really in that realm, you know? So a lot of times there will be an abandonment of a job, you know, that just doesn't inspire you anymore, or at a time when it seems almost crazy that you would quit your job now of all times, you know, but maybe it's hampering your creativity, or it's making you feel confined or captivated. A relationship that from the outside in seems to be, you know, ideal, perfect match, but inside that connection, there's something imbalanced, there's something off. Abandonment. Like, Sagittarius will pick up and go where they feel they need to, but it's not a fright and a fear for those that are absolutely in alignment, as we've already identified with the frequency that a Sag energy may be in at this time, because that's going to stick together like glue. That's going to be, that's going to flow like hot butter on on fresh popcorn type energy. You know what I mean? But it's this intensive labor for menial means, let's say. By menial means, where it may not make sense on the outside looking in. And this would be very general, especially in this season, not so Sagittarius specific, but I'm using it to express what I'm sensing. That it might look crazy to some to pick up and go, or to leave a situation that seemed ideal or seemed safe, seemed secure at a time like this, literally in this season where the economy is a mess, but you feel called to pick up and change professions, to leave a job maybe before you have one lined up. It might be that urgent for you to move to a place that you've never lived before, maybe even never really stayed for an extended time, but maybe you never even visited, but you're going because some opportunity is calling you there. There's something specific about that to, again, harness that Sagittarian fearlessness for the things you feel absolutely convicted through discernment, of course, prayer, supplication, meditation, whatever you do to be grounded in your choices, because I don't want you blaming me. Again, warning label right here. But as you feel this urge instinctually to do something maybe that's never been done before, certainly not by you, do so in faith and with great optimism. Because even with her, with the work, labor, and efforts, it's like she seems pretty content with what she has harvested from her investments, whatever that may be. That could also be a nod to the investment again, because work looks different in the Sagittarian frequency. You putting in the work to take the leap of faith, to move when you're being called to move. Move physically, emotionally, spiritually, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be physical, but to shift at a moment's notice, perhaps, may actually be quite satisfying, and might have a great deal of satisfaction. Certainly there's provision, there's certainly provision and security on the other side of that may come more from doing the less practical thing than what you would have done safely to assure this sense of security. So that's just a little small blurb out there, and that could even be by way of taking a chance on a partnership that maybe comes out of nowhere, so it seems, or starts to blossom in a way that you didn't anticipate. Like, whoa, I didn't know this was going to be this type of thing, or a thing at all. We was just hanging out, having drinks, enjoying the holiday, and now I'm like, I kind of want to see you every day. I kind of want to talk to you all the time, within reason, of course. Sagittarius, they still be doing their thing, not in a diabolical way, or a disloyal way, but they still got to have their own little adventures. But it's that one that you want to suddenly want to. This is when you got a Sagittarius locked down, or definitely emotionally invested, when they want to take you on all their little adventures. Is a lot less. I mean, they're always going to have their independent moments here and there, and that could be just washing the clothes in the house and listening to music. Like, we create our own little silos and our own little sanctuaries within spaces, even when you can't go anywhere. Your escape might be what you watch or whatever, you know. But when a Sagittarius wants to start taking you along for the ride on their little excursions and wants you to come discover the world or the horizon as they see it with them, oh yeah, you got one. You got you one. And when they want to start going with you on your little adventures, when they want to tag along, when they want to be what they call it, the passenger princess or passenger side princess, whatever, and let you drive and allow you to just show them a good time. Don't even need to know where we going. Just surprise me type energy. Yeah, you got her. You got her. I'm going to speak from a feminine perspective because I don't know the men so much. Masculine Sagittarius make great friends to me. I love a male Sagittarius friend in my life for sure. Like historically, I didn't always know this, but historically, I still have a great affinity and a deep respect and love for like the high vibrational Sages that I've come across in my life, because I have a lot of masculine energy, even though I'm highly feminine too. But I think I'm pretty well balanced. So when I encounter a Sag male that we become good friends, like ain't no funny business really, it is liberating, you know. Like I think it allows my masculine energy to kind of like thrive a little bit more, less contained, you know, if that makes any sense, because it's a lot less restricting. It's like there's a synergy there because we're both Sages, but then it like allows my masculine energy to like thrive as well, but also me still being very feminine. It's weird. I don't know how to explain that, but I wonder if other feminine Sages feel that way. It's like you feel at home in a strange way. You know, you really do. And I've dated a couple, or gotten close to dating a couple, and like the legend holds true. It is hard to get them to stay in one place, and you know, to get them to settle in a way that they feel secure, and not because of you. What I've actually experienced with the Sag guys that I've come across intimately is that they're usually, especially if you meet them at a certain time where they're still becoming, maybe even still awakening, they're still too fixated on that transitional phase in life to be like, they want to be better. So especially if they come across you and you inspire them to be better, they're probably not going to sit still for too long, because their mind, their spirit is always going to be plagued by the ways in which they still need to improve to be the ideal of what they think, you know, would fit the like the expectations or the criteria of that connection. You know, like some, quite simply put, might feel like they still got to get some playing out of their system before they settle down with the one, quote unquote. But also it kind of couples with maybe even that aspect of them being something they want to dissolve or evolve from in order to be the man that they feel they should be. Because one thing about it, a Sag is not going to want to be in a relationship that reflects to them that they ain't shit. Like, that they got a long way to go. That's like a prison, you know what I mean? So that's like a passion prison, so to speak. So those that have come and gone or fallen in, fallen out, like I said, again, in true Sag nature, I have grown to greatly respect and love the lessons that they brought to my life, to cherish them, and their fond memories and fond reflections, you know, like I said, of a time when, of like the feeling, like how you can reflect on how you want to feel in a connection. A lot of times it has been on account of with friends that again have given me the space to just be myself, where I don't have to put on airs. Not that I do much anyway, but where I know I can say what comes to mind and you're not going to be too sensitive to accept it or reject it, whatever you choose. And then I'm not going to be too sensitive if you do, whether you agree or not. Like, there's just this beautiful exchange, a passionate exchange of truth and honesty that you just don't get in a lot of connections, you know. So as I've said before, if you got you a Sag friend, good family member, favorite cousin, prospective partner, be sure that they on that type time, or definitely, you know, allow there to be liberty in that connection until some commitment is established, you know, because you don't want to be all in and it ain't that, but enjoy it nonetheless while it lasts. Because I just guarantee, like, I stand by this. I stand by that you will always be left with an interesting, to say the least, impression in your exchange with the Sagittarius. One way or another, it will be unforgettable. And they might not even be trying to make that type of impression, but it just happens. It just happens. So if you can revel in it while you can, you'll come out, like I said, Jupiter is the biggest gift giver. You'll walk away with something valuable. For sure. For sure. Uh-oh, we got legal, which definitely gives justice vibes. Oh, no. Oh, no. Mentally and emotionally unstable. Oh no, I don't know who that is, y'all. Maybe that's some folks. I mean, this is a stretch, but it's real. As on the piggyback of all that I just said, like, some people don't know how to appreciate that energy while it's in their life. They treat it unfairly. They take advantage. They take it for granted. They criticize the frequency, you know, they pit themselves against it. Sometimes Sagittarius can definitely evoke a spirit of jealousy and envy unwarrantedly, usually by way of misunderstanding, because, like I said, it's an anomaly energy, so that the way that it moves sometimes is just hard to really put your thumb on, your finger on. So then it evokes this response that is human, no doubt, but it's not really productive, you know, certainly not liberating. But and we're talking about high vibrational Sagittarius, because we know that the low vibrations can definitely leave a mark. So there's that. I ain't never gonna hold you on that one, because it's the truth. However, this is legal. This U.S. Department of something here. So something legal is underway. But whatever, it's maybe something's being balanced for those moments in time that I'm speaking of, where maybe people have just been being themselves and have been taken advantage of or rejected, nonetheless, misunderstood, cast out in some ways. It doesn't stop the awakening that a Sagittarius is committed to one way or another. And it can look different for each individual one, but that is always going to be the focus. And some, even if they're trying to awaken or enlighten themselves to some diabolical shit on a low frequency, like a Sagittarius is always trying to expand. And sometimes that goes unappreciated. Sometimes we can get the raw end of the deal just on account of misunderstanding or come from alone. And then what's left in the wake is, you know, people just wishing that they had known differently, or have felt differently, or seen differently, seen the potential of the connection or of the person, that they had treated you differently. This could even be exes getting karma, you know, for how they have dismissed or disregarded such a precious energy as whomever I'm talking about, that's so highly evolved that they're in position to attract and or pursue sacred union, you know, whether that's in another person or just you solo on your own mission. But I definitely get that, like this, and this, the legal aspect here with this is definitely giving me karma or justice and balance in a way that is fair, you know, like it's just organically fair, but it feels devastating for those that are on a disparaging end of it. And 9 times out of 10, in the aspect of love that I've been speaking of, it's on account of those that didn't know they had a good thing when they were in the presence of whomever resonates with this reading. They just didn't know. They didn't know. Or they didn't know how to act. One of the two. Didn't know how to treat you. But they gonna learn today. They gonna learn this season. They gonna learn this lifetime. And like I said, if nothing else, a Sag will always be a lesson to you. You know, it'll be no love lost where they're concerned, but for you, whomever is at loss will always have that experience, you know, to glean from, whether it be to never treat anyone the way that they have, you know, in that case, or to learn how to love themselves a little bit more. Probably one and the same, honestly. Probably one and the same. And hell, if a Sagittarius can say that they inspired that one, especially when they wasn't even trying to, they was just having a good time, it's a good day. It's a good season. It's a good life. Okay? So, for those Saggies in love or Sag intensive charts that are hopeful, optimistic about love, it's in the cards. It's absolutely in the cards, and I feel like it's coming at divine timing, as things always do, but certainly at a time when you're not really looking for it, you know, like you're not eager for it, you're not anticipating it. Might just literally bump into you at the grocery store. Hey, stranger things have happened. But one thing's for sure is the precursor for it all is this awakened state, to be self-aware and surrounding aware of your energy and how powerful and potent it is, how deserving and attractive it is with another force, any force outside of it, selective as a matter of fact. And, you know, just completely aware about all that you are deserving of unapologetically. That courage, that confidence that is innate to a Sag, that oozes out of your auric field in every room you walk into. Now's not the time to turn that down. If it's not being infused into a relationship or a partnership in any particular frequency, it can always be well administered to the passion projects or the people you're passionate about, the things you're passionate about, even yourself, you know, in your life. Again, for the purposes of ascension. Always looking to go, well, first to be and do and have a higher experience. All right, so this was great. I love this. Shout out to Intuitive Kev. Love these cards. Thank you for listening and watching. Happy Sag season again. Love yourself like a Sag would. With warning. Others may not get it, but as long as you do, kudos to you. All right. Yeah, and enjoy the rest of your week. I'm pretty sure I'll be popping in again, but I'll say your weekend too, just to sprinkle it on there, throw it out there. So until next time, in any regard, as always, I'll leave you with peace.